to stand a 5-story tall building in one day.
So Navneet, this is a huge market. Like,
It is
what kind of market are we looking at?
Is about $35 billion already.
So let's say I'm a builder. How much will you save for a builder like me?
About 75% of labor cost and 75% of labor time on framing line item, right? And framing line item is one of the largest line items, about 18 to 20% of the construction budget.
So Navneet, what kind of check size are you looking at for Series A?
At the moment, our ask is, or what we're raising is about somewhere between $5 to $7.5 million. We are the only rapid construction, commercially viable rapid construction system on the planet.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. I love being with visionary people who are creating the future. And when somebody talks about a future, like when I meet them 5 years ago and who's living that future, you think I'm going to resist? No, I'm going to go get them and bring them on the podcast. Today I'm with a visionary founder, Navneet Aron, who is making construction as fun as Lego blocks. Can you believe that? Can you believe building a home like Lego blocks? Construction is one of the most laborious and painful processes one goes through when they build a home or a new construction for a new business. And there is a lot of time and money spent. And Navneet Aron, who's the founder of Livio Building Systems, is out to reduce time and money spent by 75%, proven in all his construction metrics. So I'm not going to wait any further. With a lot of pleasure and honor, I'd love to bring Navneet on the podcast.
Thank you, Vidya. Thank you for having me, and thank you for such a great intro. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. So Navneet, I know you for 6 to 7 years now. You're from Surathkal in India. It's one of the top colleges, the NITK college, and after that you went to Stanford. You studied computer science. For Pete's sake, you're doing construction here. You started Aron Builders. That's when you're building these amazing homes, and then now you pivot and you're building this amazing product which automates or literally slashes the construction time and money by 75%. Tell us, what is Livio and what got you to do this?
Right. I have lived in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, for the last 23 years. And I was a software engineer, product manager, living the typical Silicon Valley life. I definitely enjoyed what I did. But along the way, I was excited and curious to dabble in alternative investments and started a company called Aron Developers with the goal to invest and develop real estate. I knew nothing about development at that point. And the idea was very simple, that, hey, we will hire third-party general contractors and designers and architects and consultants to build these projects. But I happened to just learn a lot, and the more I learned in the process, I found that it was a very large white space and an opportunity to bring more efficiency. I was also driven by frustration and the traditional ways of doing things. It seemed like the more I looked at every project in construction, everybody seemed to complain about framing, that the lumber was bent or bowed or had crowning, and every trade would complain about how things were not straight and how they needed them to be modified, and there would be change orders and delays in the project essentially. So for a while I put up with that, but ultimately I got frustrated enough where I wanted to do something about it, and in 2017 started a construction company with the goal to do things more efficiently. And one thing led to another, where I ultimately said, you know what, we're going to build with steel. We're going to have more method to the madness. We're going to have a scientific approach to it, engineering-driven approach to it, and committed to panelized construction with cold-formed steel as a baseline of what we are doing today. We do a lot more than cold-formed steel panels, which I'll talk about, but that was the idea, and that's how we started with what I'm doing today.
Wonderful. Construction is a space which was neglected for such a long time. We build homes in very old, archaic ways, and you're trying to disrupt it. But what I saw with your product lines is you have an app, and you're using the app to help people who are building these constructions pace up their work. Can you explain how?
So we are a pre-assembled building system company. The whole idea is you bring the benefits of off-site manufacturing and marry them to the things that must be done on the job site. So what we are aiming for is, can you achieve extreme efficiency in framing as a starting point of a building, where the entire framing for a building, which is all the wall framing, floor framing, roof framing, whether you're talking about a house or you're talking about a 3-story building, which is an apartment garden style apartment building, or you're talking about a senior housing project 5-story, or you're talking about a 10-story student housing building, or various kinds of buildings, right? Whatever it is, a hospitality project or medical project, office project, storage facility, and so on. For any of these types of buildings, the first thing for us is to build them with pre-assembled walls and pre-assembled floors and so on. Now, the way it works is you engineer the building in a software model, and from there on, using a bunch of techniques that we have in automation, we generate what we call Lego-like step-by-step instructions. They're literally like Lego instructions.
Wow.
And these instructions are delivered to the customer using the Livio mobile app. And they are meant to be dummy-proof. We are constantly improving them. They're getting better and better as we go along. They correspond to how the packages actually are delivered. We call these packages, which are delivered to the job site, we call them Livio cubes. Livio cube is essentially a steel package where walls are organized sequentially in the order of the Livio mobile app, such that when the crew is ready for it, they simply get the right exact piece from the Livio cube. So it is a combination of a lot of things which go into it. We are dealing with very heavy components at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They need to be transported.
Yeah.
We ship from India. Our manufacturing is in India, and we ship from India. We have to worry about how things will be delivered. They will be loaded into the shipping containers, how they will be unloaded, how do you minimize the time for that, all of that, and ultimately solve for rapid construction on the job site.
Wonderful. As you were describing that your product, the combo of the app and the Livio cube, it's going to go in framing the walls, the floors. So Navneet, this is a huge market.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of market are we looking at?
So as you know, lumber, every building needs framing to begin with. Whatever type of the building it might be, framing itself, steel framing alone, let's just talk about existing size of the steel framing market, is about $35 billion already. And when we talk about, we have a lot of customers who come to us whose projects have been architected with lumber, or they were in the process of designing in such a way that they would build with lumber. However, they are saying, hey, we want to build only with your system. Let us use your system because we want to see those efficiency gains. So I think companies like ours can expand the size of the steel framing market, which is already set to be about $50 billion by the end of 2030. But we believe the size, if you have more efficient technologies like ours, or systems like ours, which enables the customers, the developers, the real estate developers, the contractors to build these buildings more efficiently, it expands the size of the steel framing market. I was just giving you as an example. From a vision perspective, Livio is not a metal framing company. We are a pre-assembled building systems company, where we already ship composite panels. So we use cold form steel as a starting point. Think of it as a chassis of a car, right? Tesla doesn't ship a chassis. Tesla uses the chassis and then builds the entire car around it. So from that analogy perspective, for us, cold form steel pre-assembled panels is the chassis. And then we already provide, for example, in our latest building 2.4 system of ours, we use exterior wall sheeting, which is structural and has 2-hour fire rating. And then we also have floor panels, which are also sheathed and have a bunch of other things like second floor layouts and other layouts. But that saves tremendous amount of time on a construction job site. We just demonstrated yesterday that a 2-story building can be erected completely, framing inspection ready, including the roof and roof framing and all the sheeting, exterior and floor sheeting, etc., in 4.5 hours. With just 4 guys, right, for a small 2-story building. So
let's say I'm a builder and I showcase my work to a real estate agent, and I'm building this building for let's say I spend $300K building this, and I'm going to sell it for 1.5 million or something like that. How much will you save for a builder like me?
So In our current rendition of the project, where we only provide a framing system, and you would save, we say that about 75% of labor cost and 75% of labor time on framing line item, right? And framing line item is one of the largest line items, it's about 18 to 20% of a construction budget. So half of that is typically labor, and half of that is typically material. And saving 75% on the labor would mean you are saving about 6 to 7% on the overall construction budget already, right, with us.
Right.
Where we are going with the building system, the next thing which is about to be rolled out towards the third quarter this year or fourth quarter this year is plumbing. Pre-assembled plumbing in the panels themselves. We have on the roadmap, I was just talking to a customer this morning, he was pushing me super hard, please roll out electrical, I need it so bad. So we have done a bunch of R&D and we know we will be shipping with pre-assembled plumbing. We cannot do 100% of these systems because a lot of the work must be done on site, like connecting between panels, running to the sewer line, and a bunch of other things must be done.
And this is mission critical. It's got to function. Once the people move in, it has to work.
Everything has to work, yes. So quality really matters, but how the product is going to evolve is going to have plumbing next, electrical. Many customers want us to install windows, they want us to install HVAC ducting. So things that we can do in the factory setting to help our customers, again, cut time and labor costs on the job site in as many trades as possible. There are many things which we will not do, which have to do with finishes and things like that, or our product journey will evolve later on. But in terms of quality, like you said, it's extremely important. We have focused on certifications right from the beginning. We are probably the only commercially viable company which is UES certification for the building system of this type, which is able to build two-story building in 4 hours. As we go forward, the focus on quality and certifications is prime and central to us. Everything that we ship, ultimately, before we ship anything, has to have its UES certification. We have various agencies in the US who work with us, and then they fly to India, they inspect everything gets audited, and we get certifications from different agencies of various kinds. We are about to have Miami-Dade hurricane rating certification for 195 miles per hour, wind load and debris load. We have special certifications in Florida State and Los Angeles County and a bunch of other things.
Wonderful. As you're describing your venture in Florida, and just now we went around multiple sites of construction which you're currently working on. You talked about the metal which is galvanized, and that is against termites. It protects against termites, and in California corrosion. And how does steel function during earthquakes, or how does steel function in a place like Florida with hurricanes and such?
So Florida happens to be the place, specifically South Florida, happens to be the place where almost 10% of the entire construction is with steel, as opposed to rest of the US, where the numbers are 5% on an average. So it kind of tells you Florida is at the forefront of adopting steel construction, specifically South Florida. The capacities of steel are much higher than lumber. For the same weight of lumber, steel will carry more loads typically, and have a bunch of other properties which allow you to, with galvanized steel, you can address all the corrosive issues and so on, but
no termites,
no moisture issues.
Last longer, you said.
They definitely last. Steel buildings last way longer. We guarantee our steel structures for 50 years, but the true life of these structures runs in hundreds of years, essentially. As opposed to lumber buildings, which are prone to mold and termites and a bunch of other weather-related issues. Steel does not get impacted by any of those. They also have two dimensions, no bending, bowing, etc. Because of moisture content in it.
It's so fascinating, your journey. You've been building software, and how did you get to production quality? I still wonder. I know you as a friend, but it just amazes me. On that note, I want to ask you. I know that your Livio blocks, the steel, the galvanized steel is the magic. So where do you get the steel from, and how does your style of approach make your company unique? So
we are unique in that we are the only rapid construction, commercially viable rapid construction system on the planet. Period. So we are not a steel company. We are not a steel company. We are not a steel framing company. We are not a cold form steel panelization company at all. We are building system company which is aiming to have as many subsystems integrated as possible in a highly controlled factory off-site manufacturing setup.
Right.
And framing is the first part, plumbing is the second part, electrical is the third part, HVAC ducting is the fourth part, windows is the fifth part, insulation is the sixth part, and a lot more that can be done in an off-site setup. So that's who we are. We just happen to be in the journey at a point where we have demonstrated amazing ability of rapid construction of buildings with our system, like we're just talking about. There is another YouTube live event coming up at the end of April or first week of May. We haven't announced the date, where we will stand a 5-story tall building in one day. In one day.
Oh my God.
In one day.
Totally.
Right?
We'll if podcast is out, we'll include that. I'm totally waiting for it.
Amazing.
Why did you not pick a technology like 3D printing? Why did you stick with steel frames? Because 3D printing guys also claim to construct homes very fast, and their homes look fairly ugly and block-like.
There is, like I said, construction is trillions of dollars of space.
Correct.
There's a lot of opportunity to be created, a lot of value to be created by a lot of different technologies and people solving many, many, many different problems. We are actually partnering with a very large venture-backed 3D printing-driven company whose basically core structure is what we are providing for them. Built with structural steel, which we also provide for our buildings, right? So there are partnerships to be had. There is another company which is aiming to provide modular units of cabinets and so on. They're also a Silicon Valley startup. We are partnering with them to provide our wall panels to be part of their system and
Wonderful.
so on. So in terms of how I approach the space is there is so why your question was why did we build with steel as opposed to 3D printing or some other technology? What I find is the closest thing to lumber construction, which is 95% of the market, is steel construction. That is the closest thing. Lumber has studs, 2x4 studs. Steel has the same 3/5x8 studs, same exact dimension, and the largest population of construction workers in America who are they're all familiar with lumber construction, and the steel construction is the next highest population of existing workers. Also steel is most versatile. You can pretty much the same practices of running electrical wiring or plumbing, etc., which apply to lumber, apply similarly in the same exact way to steel. So if I had to pick a system which had all these different properties that I'm looking for, I could manufacture off-site and have a system that can include all these different subsystems that I want to include in them. Cold form steel is the only option. I can't think of any. I do study many of the technologies all the time as well.
I think you are. It's not like you're not studying, because you do have partnerships with people who do 3D printing. You kind of know when to leverage those technologies. Because in India there was a big rage. IIT Madras built this 3D printed home, and it's this very simple box home, probably a home you'd use in a cabin on the beach or something. But that is a rage. But I like this approach because steel is safe. It's a safe next move. And
steel is also, I would say, cold form steel buildings when you study. So we are advised by an amazing professor, Dr. Seret, at Santa Clara University.
Amazing.
He's been teaching cold form steel based structural engineering for the last 32 years. In fact, as we speak, right now he's at so blessed that he's with our team in India, with our engineering team in India,
Oh my God.
spending a month there with our team and advising us and very closely working with us.
All this cutting edge innovation is coming with blessing from academia. Google came from Stanford, and Meta from Harvard, and it's coming from academia.
Absolutely. I mean, you need the brain cells. You need the amazing work that has been done. I mean, Professor Seret brings 32 years of research and know-how in the space, and as a result, we are pushing the boundary of what's possible as a baseline. And I love every bit of building with steel. There's so much more to be done by bringing more systems in as we go forward.
Amazing. On that note, I just wanted to ask, how has your fundraising journey been? You are officially venture-backed, but what is it that you're looking to raise? If somebody is interested in investing in your company, it's pretty scalable. It's a product which every home will require in the future, and old ways of building homes and constructions are it's fading away. People are realizing the opening up to the new methodologies. What is the advantage? So tell us what is your venture journey like?
Sure. So first I'll talk about our target customers. Our target customers are people who are developers of large high-density buildings and high-density projects. So we have our a very large customer is an affordable housing developer who has a project pipeline of about 30 projects. And each project is about 100,000 square feet. So it's a very sizable customer. And I think pre-assembled technologies also lend themselves very well to highly repeatable buildings. Okay. So the developers who come to us, they have big projects. They don't have to be 5-story or 7-story. They can be hundreds of single-family houses. There is a developer in Belize, or there's another developer in Cabo who is building 1,800 homes. And that's a great example of where our technology could really shine. There's another developer who wanted to do 144 units here locally in the Bay Area. All of the units were very close to each other. There's 2-3 floor types. So wherever there is large volume and large repeatability, it lends itself really, really well. Manufacturing in a factory setting itself becomes a way to expedite and reduce the cost and have our system really shines in those cases. So that's our target customer base, large developers doing these kinds of projects, and the contractors who are building them, or framing contractors or drywall contractors for now at least. But that's the idea. And in terms of fundraising, we have raised seed capital from a bunch of friends and family along the way, and we're in the process of negotiating and discussing terms for a large Series A type of investment, and that's where we stand right now. I'm actively discussing with a few different groups at the moment.
So Navneet, what kind of check size are you looking at for Series A?
At the moment, our ask is, or what we're raising is about somewhere between $5 to $7.5 million.
Wonderful. Okay, so on that note, I get a lot of incoming requests, people looking for jobs in this space, and people who want to pursue a career in this space. You moved from computer science, and such an uncanny move, and here you are living and breathing construction. You're like an ocean of knowledge. I can ask you about anything, and you can give me a lay of the land for that particular topic in construction. So tell me, what kind of careers are thriving as of today, and how does one pursue a career in construction?
So, I would say, and I talk about this topic often in the company also, is if you are an engineer, the core knowledge that you have gained in your undergrad or grad school is analytical problem solving. And if you are a good analytical problem solver, if you can take a large problem and you can break it down into small pieces and go solve them, you can create value anywhere. We talk about Elon Musk in the company. He did not have any formal training in space, or for many of the other things that he does. Right, it's just a very big inspiration of if you are a young person, and if you have a positive can-do problem-solving attitude, you should pursue what you're passionate about. You should pursue a problem that seems that bothers you, a problem that is close to your heart, a problem whether it is fixing cars or fixing electronics or building homes or building large buildings, or whatever the problem you are extremely passionate about, and then things fall from there. And in terms of roles and opportunities, what exists out there and what is out there, I believe there is so much happening on the software side of things. In construction technologies, we ourselves have software team in-house. We are a technology company. We are not a construction company, or we are not the way I think about us is we are a group of engineers. We have a challenging problem to solve. How do you build a system that enables building rapid construction of any building, not just in framing, but plumbing, electrical, installation, and a bunch of other trades. So that requires, and as we take on custom building projects, you have to have tools and abilities to automatically, in an automated way, to model these buildings very, very, very quickly and generate the kind of Lego-like instructions I was talking to you about, or generate the sequencing on how things will be packaged There is ML techniques. There are because we have to figure out how do you load things in such a way in these Livio cubes where you are fully optimizing the utilization of container space, shipping space that you have because it's expensive. Yeah. Yet you are primarily solving for the speed of execution on the job site, where everything that the people want on the job site is available to them very easily. So these are hard technical problems where you can use your algorithms and or develop new algorithms and use formal techniques to solve many of these problems. And there are many, like if you're super passionate about building techniques and building methodologies and building systems, there are lots of opportunities there too. We hire people, we invest in researching different building materials. We research on how do you put different building materials together. We research on what components can be used to solve specific challenges, because when you are building things in a factory setting and when you ship, you have to make sure that not only these systems will come together, but subsequent things will work efficiently. Like for example, waterproofing, and some of the other systems can be done efficiently as well. So there are a lot of hard problems to solve in the industry, wherever you're coming at it from, and that's all I would say. Just be passionate about what you want to do.
Wonderful. Also, Navneet, you are a very busy person. You're oversubscribed. So I still want people to subscribe to you and to my channel.
Yes.
What are a few ways people can reach you, whether it's about funding, whether it's about partnership or jobs?
Sure.
You seem like so many opportunities are flowing from your ecosystem. Mm-hmm. What is the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach me is my email. It's Navneet, Navneet, Navneet at golivio.com. And that will be probably the best way.
Wonderful. So Navneet, thank you so much for this visionary hour you spent with us. I've become a construction building systems enthusiast, and I will definitely take home this lesson of being passionate about a problem, breaking it down and solve it. Don't leave it there. Don't crib about it, solve it. Thank you so much for
Thank you, Vida. Thank you for having me on the show. We
Wonderful.
appreciate it. Thank you.